24 CF1692, appearances.
Megan Newport and Ian Vance Curzan appear for the state.
Jason Finling and Anthony Cotton on behalf of Maxwell Anderson. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you had a nice lunch. Hasn't started raining yet, but it's supposed to any moment, so we lucked out with that timing. We're still on the state's case in chief. State, are you prepared? Oh, we're still during the last witness. Where is our last witness?
She's here.
Oh, wonderful. Can you retake the stand? And we're going to re-swear you because we have a new court reporter this afternoon. We still are on the state's case in chief. We're on the cross-examination.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you can please be seated, restate and respell your name for the record.
Detective Kayla, Kayla, last name Bjerke, Bjerke.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Judge. So I think I left off, I was kind of talking about the staircase in this apartment. Do you remember the staircase?
Yes.
And you remember kind of how it's set up? It's not like an up and down staircase, right?
From the first to the second floor, no.
Okay, and it's like kind of like a, I wouldn't call it a spiral staircase, but it's almost like half spiral, right?
Correct.
If I show you photos of that, do you think you'd recognize it?
Yes.
The staircase, obviously.
Yes.
Commissioner Burch,
You may.
I'm showing you exhibits 808 through 813. You recognize this?
Yes.
So what were those photos of the staircase?
Yes, they were.
I moved 808 through 813 in.
No
Any
objection.
objection?
Asked to publish?
We spoke at the exact same time. Any objection?
No objection.
I will receive them into evidence and you may publish.
All right, so I'm showing you 808. So this is kind of the first part of the staircase, right?
Yes, from the first floor.
And then 809. That's where is that a photo from, like kind of like part way up that staircase, right?
That would be from the landing. So at that landing where they're standing right now, that's where they would be able to enter into Pete's like apartment or like house area of the house. So that's where you'd be able to enter the first floor, is right where the photo's being taken.
Okay, and then if you keep going up those stairs, you can get up to Max's apartment, right?
Correct.
810. That's just another photo of continuing to go up the stairs, right?
Correct.
And then 811, this is another landing space on that same staircase, right?
Correct.
And then we have 812, that's just another photo of that landing.
Yes.
And then 813, that's a view from, just higher up on the staircase facing down, right?
Correct.
And if we're looking at 808, you can kind of see these stairs, they're wooden, right?
Correct.
And how this is set up, you go up the stairs and you kind of have to wind around, right?
Yes.
And these stairs, if you look at them, I mean, they were dirty, right?
Ish, yes, I guess I would say.
Because it looks like you can see like dust and dirt on the stairs.
Correct.
They didn't look like they had been freshly cleaned, right?
Correct.
And then when you get to the top of that staircase, you can ultimately go into kind of the living quarters of Max's apartment, right?
Yes.
And in that living quarters, there's a big kind of bay window, right?
That faces east to 39th Street, yes.
Okay, and it faces like the city street, right, where cars can park.
Correct.
And then directly below that window is kind of where you would enter Pete's apartment, right?
I believe so, yes.
If I show you a photo of that window, you think you'll recognize it?
Yes.
Commissioner, approach.
Go ahead.
I'm showing you Exhibit 814. Is that the window that faces the street?
Yes.
I move 814 in.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
Ask to publish.
Go ahead.
Okay, so is that big window?
Yes, it is.
And then if you're looking out that window, you can see, it looks like the neighbor across the street's house.
Correct.
And that's a pretty big window. It's like, I mean, did you measure how large a window that is?
No, we did not.
Okay, but it's fair to categorize that as kind of like a bay window, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you can see that's that red couch to the right of to the right of the picture. This is was this the same couch where that flannel was found on?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you just found that flannel, it's just laying out on the couch, right?
Correct.
And do you remember what was next to the flannel?
I believe it was like a waitress apron.
Yeah, there's like a waitress apron, kind of the waiter's notebook where they write people's orders on it, and then like a black little pamphlet
Correct.
where the waiter keeps like, you know, the bill and everything inside, right? Commissioner approach.
Please.
I'm showing you exhibits 815 and 816. That looked like the waiter stuff I was talking about.
Yes, it did.
All right, I move 815 and 816 in.
Any objection?
No.
Received.
Ask to publish.
Go ahead.
All right, so we can see here, that's like the waiter notebook, right?
Correct.
That's like the little envelope they carried in.
Yes.
I don't know the word for it. And then to the right, that's where the apron is, right?
Correct.
And those are just lying right on that couch, right?
Yes, they are.
And then 816, we can see on the left side of that photo, that's that flannel sweatshirt, right?
Correct.
And then the waiter stuff is just hanging out right next to it, right?
Yes.
And through your investigation, did you learn that Mr. Anderson worked as a bartender or a waiter?
I believe that was told to me, yes.
Do you know where he worked?
I believe he worked at Victor's.
Okay, did you know if he worked anywhere else?
I am not aware if he worked anywhere else.
Okay. And did you ever personally go to Victor's?
No, I did not.
Okay, do you know if any other detectives went to Victor's?
I believe Deputy Ethan, Ethan, Stout, Stoudt, went there, but I'm not sure who else went there.
And you're not sure if they searched like any of the employee lockers there?
I have no idea.
Okay. And during your search, you also found a red and black backpack, right?
I believe so, yes.
And that was located in Mr. Anderson's bedroom, right?
Correct.
I'm showing you exhibit 817, and tell me if this is the backpack that you saw.
Yes, it is.
I move 817 in
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
and ask to publish.
You may.
Showing you 817, this right here is that black and red backpack, correct?
Correct.
And that was just kind of hanging like halfway in the closet, halfway on the ground.
Correct.
And you can also see that there's kind of clothes laying around, and this is the bedroom floor, right?
Right.
And there's kind of clothes just laying out throughout that whole house, the whole apartment, right?
Correct.
And then I think what you opened that evidence package just a little while ago when you're on direct, and you revealed that Carhartt shirt, right?
Yes.
And that Carhartt shirt was the one you believe that he was wearing on his date with Sade, right?
We believe so, yes.
Okay. And you know if that was photographed?
Yes.
I'm showing you exhibits 818 and 819. And are those photos of that Carhartt shirt that you found?
It is.
I move 818 and 819 in, I'm sorry.
Any objection?
No.
They're received.
Ask to publish.
Go ahead.
All right, so this is one photo of the shirt, and you said you found this in the dryer, right?
Yes, and one set of the dryers.
Okay, but that flannel sweatshirt was just laying out on that red couch upstairs, right?
Correct.
And then another photo, 819. This is the same condition you found that shirt in, right?
The shirt was found in the dryer. We just pulled it out of the dryer to
But-
take a photo.
But it's in the same condition as it was when it was in the dryer. You didn't manipulate it other than moving it from the dryer out to the tarp that it's on.
Correct.
And did you observe it to be ripped or torn in any way?
Not that I'm aware of.
And that was just in the dryer. It wasn't like hidden, like behind any pieces of furniture, right?
Correct.
It wasn't like under a mattress
No.
or in the trash.
No.
It wasn't like partially burned in any way.
No.
And you can clearly see that Carhartt lettering and that white lettering, right?
Correct.
Don't see any stains on it.
No.
And then in the basement, you said that you located the workbench, right?
Correct.
And that just had a bunch of miscellaneous types of tools.
Correct.
And you can't say if any of them are missing, right?
Correct.
Just a standard tool that you might find in someone's workbench, someone who likes woodworking, right?
Possibly yes.
And through your investigation, when you initially came to the house, did you ever detect like an odor of bleach
Not that I can recall, no.
or ammonia?
Not that I can recall, no.
And those are kind of substances that, as a detective, you might commonly see someone try to clean something up with one of those substances, right?
Correct.
But you didn't detect any of those substances in this case, right?
I did not.
And did you ever go in with like a black light to determine whether there had been anything that had just been cleaned up?
I don't believe we did.
Okay. But you've done that in cases in the past, right?
Personally, I've only used it in a vehicle, but I've never used it in a residence.
Okay. But that's something that you could do, right?
Correct.
And you went through the trash at this residence, right?
I believe somebody went through the trash, yes.
Okay.
I personally did not.
Okay, and you didn't find any empty bottles of bleach or ammonia, right?
I'm going to object. She said she doesn't have personal knowledge of this.
Any response?
No, I'll just move on. I can withdraw my question. She
Okay,
doesn't have
questions
personal.
withdrawn. Next question.
And so, like you said, there's three searches in total, but two of them, one's on April 4th and then into April 5th, right?
Technically, there was 4 searches. So one started April 4th, went into the 5th, but that included 2 search warrants. The second one or technically the third one happened on the 6th, and then the last one happened on the 16th.
Okay, and then from the 4th to the 5th, you said that the scene was secured, right?
Correct.
So an officer stays out front or out back all night, right?
Correct, as well as inside of the residence.
And once you had executed the warrant on the 4th, you said that there was media and news reporters that were on scene at that time, right?
I believe so. It wasn't until later in the night that they came on scene.
Okay, but it was still during that search on the 4th, right?
Correct.
So there's multiple people coming, they're not necessarily on scene, but they're kind of across the street, right?
Correct.
So there's news teams, right?
Yes.
Cameramen,
Yes.
photographers,
Yes.
reporters,
I believe so.
lots of different people outside of that residence, right?
On the other side of the street, yeah.
Okay, and and then after you finished the search on the 5th, did police officers remain on and freeze the house, or did you close the crime scene at that time?
Crime scene was closed at that time.
Okay. And the reason why you close or freeze a crime scene is to make sure that no one comes in or comes out, right?
Closing is different than freezing, I would say.
Okay, so freezing is that, it means that no one can come in and come out, right?
Correct.
And then when you close it, it means that it's back open to the public?
Or the owners of the residence, yes. The house was turned over to an owner of the residence, or it was locked and secured so that nobody could regain entry to that residence.
So after you finished the search on the 5th, that's when you closed it, right?
Yes,
Okay, and then police present wasn't there anymore at that point?
correct,
And so any of the homeowners could come and go, right?
correct.
And you're aware that people from the community were kind of outside of the residence, right?
I did see some pictures that were posted on social media from it, yes.
And people were actually inside the house too, right?
I do not know of that.
Okay. But the main purpose of freezing is so people don't taint evidence or move evidence, right?
Correct,
And because there wasn't a police presence after the search on the 5th, you don't know who went in and who went out of that house.
correct.
Or if any evidence was moved or taken.
The evidence from the 4th and 5th was already collected and recovered from the residence, but anything past that, I don't know.
But not everything in the whole entire residence was taken by the police, right?
Correct,
Some things were left in the residence.
correct.
And you never found, and this backpack that so you attended some briefings where you saw photos of Max on a city bus, right?
Yes,
And you did that, and you attended those briefings before some of these searches, before the one on the 6th, probably?
I believe so, yes.
And so you knew what backpack you were looking for, right?
Correct,
But you didn't find that on your search on the 4th or the 5th, right?
correct, because we didn't know we were looking for that at that time.
Okay. And one thing that you testified about just earlier this morning is that, the house was kind of messy, but you didn't believe that there's any sign of a struggle, correct?
Correct,
No sign of a fight
correct,
or a disturbance?
correct,
It's just kind of an untidy house?
yes,
Like chairs weren't knocked over or anything like that?
correct.
Pictures weren't knocked off the wall?
Nope,
Okay. And during your briefing, do you ever, you'd said that you'd seen photos of Max wearing these shoes with white soles, right?
yes.
Did you ever look at like a briefing video of him walking on the street?
I don't believe I watched any videos regarding that.
Okay. And because you said that you ultimately don't believe you found those shoes that he was seen wearing on the bus, right?
Correct.
Do you know what brand of shoes he was wearing on the bus?
No,
So you don't know the company that makes them?
I don't.
What steps did you take to identify what type of shoes, what company
I
shoes?
didn't do anything to identify the shoes or anything like that. I was not in charge of the bus video.
But you did locate shoes inside of the residence, right?
Correct.
Did you find any that were like covered in sand?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And you would have recovered those, correct?
Correct.
And then throughout the house, you talked about how you had identified stains, even as small as, like, I believe you said an eraser tip?
Yes.
But you didn't find any large pools of blood, correct?
Correct.
No stained towels,
No.
no wet mop?
No.
And as you said that, that you might not have personally done it, but some officer searched the trash, right?
Possibly, yes.
And they probably would have brought it to your attention if they found, blood, right?
I would assume if they knew it was blood, they would have said something, yes.
And you also, you talked about how there was a closet that you couldn't see at first, but if you move that kind of that armory or that big cabinet, there was a kind of a closet behind it, right?
Correct.
But you didn't find any items of evidentiary value other than that bong, right?
Correct.
You didn't find like a knife
Not that I can recall.
or a saw?
No.
There was just some miscellaneous clothing in there, right?
Correct.
Among other things, but for the
Yes.
most part, just we saw clothes hanging on hangers, right?
Yes.
I don't have anything further.
State? Showing you exhibit 466 again. You were asked on cross about several items of clothing. I think it's clear that there were a lot of articles of clothing that were seen within the residence. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you found a backpack,
Correct.
but not the backpack seen in this picture.
Correct.
And in the residence, you did not find this black jacket or sweatshirt, gray black jacket or sweatshirt,
Correct.
and you did not find the pants,
We did not.
and you did not find the shoes.
No, we did not.
Showing you Defense Exhibit 816. On this red couch, do you remember seeing this item that I'm pointing to?
Yes.
What was that?
I believe it was a package. I can't recall for sure.
But you recall seeing that in that position?
Yes.
Okay, and it's blue and kind of flat,
Yes.
fair? On April 4th and into April 5th, you've testified that you weren't sure what you were looking for specifically, correct?
Correct.
Because at this point, you hadn't discovered a lot of information yet.
Correct.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about the crime lab response. You testified that they examined certain stains, correct?
Correct.
Did some of those stains appear to be blood stains?
They did.
The stains in general, can you describe what the size range of those were?
They would be anything smaller from like a tiny speck, which would be like a needle point, to quite literally, I would say nothing bigger than that eraser tip of a pen or a pencil.
And as the crime lab's identifying these stains, nobody knows if they're human DNA or not.
Correct.
Could be a food stain,
Correct.
could be something from an animal.
Yes.
Okay, so there was some testimony about presumptive analysis. What is that?
Presumptive analysis is when you do a test, and based upon the test, you can get an indication of a yes or a no for that.
A yes or a no for what?
The yes or a no for they were testing for human blood at this time.
And did the crime lab do that?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Did some of the items that they identified as stains test presumptively positive for human blood?
A few did, yes.
Okay. You're aware, though, that none of them ultimately tested positive for Sade Robinson's DNA, correct?
Correct.
You testified on direct and talked about the knives that were located, correct?
Correct.
And what did the state crime lab do as it relates to those knives?
They conducted a presumptive test on each one of the knives.
And that was there on scene, correct?
Correct.
And you are aware of what the results were?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that there was no human blood found on those knives?
Correct.
Going to show you what's been marked State's Exhibit 469 and ask you if you know what that is.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's a picture of the knives that were tested in the kitchen for the presumptive test.
These were some of the knives, correct?
Correct.
I'd ask that 469 be received and published.
Any objection?
None.
It's received.
What is this note down here, PHTH with a negative sign?
That's a note from the crime lab stating that all those knives tested negative on the pathology test or the test that they conducted for the human blood.
Are you familiar with what a serrated knife blade is versus a non-serrated knife blade?
Yes.
Can you tell what is the difference?
The difference is in the model of the blade, so you will see the jagged edges versus the smooth edges.
So for example, the knife that I'm pointing to, would that be a serrated or non-serrated blade?
A serrated blade.
In between the search warrants that occurred on the 4th and the 5th, you testified that there were law enforcement officers that remained on scene, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When you went back on April 6th, did it appear that the house had been broken into at all?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Did it appear that anything had changed since you had been in it last?
No.
At the point when you were searching the house, specifically the living room, were you aware of photos that had been recovered from the defendant's cell phone?
No.
Nothing further.
Defense?
So you collected every knife inside of that home, correct?
The crime lab did, yes.
The crime lab did, right? But you testified that no blood were found on any of the knives, right?
Correct.
And you did test some substances, and some of the swabs were taken were positive for blood, correct?
Correct.
Including Mr. Anderson's blood, right?
I don't know the exact human blood. It just tests positive for human blood, not a certain person's blood.
But some of those substances were just animal blood, or not?
I can't say whether they were animal blood or not.
Okay. But I think you said this just now, was that they're just very small, I guess, drops or specks, right?
Correct.
I have nothing further.
State?
Nothing.
Thank you, Detective. Thank you. State your next witness.
We'll briefly recall Detective Donner.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can please be seated, restate and respell your name for the record.
Detective Joanne, Joann, Donner, Donner.
Detective Donner, you returned to Maxwell Anderson's house on April 16th for that final search, is that right?
That's correct.
One of the reasons you went to the house was you wanted to look at the red couch, correct?
That's correct.
And I have a Defense Exhibit 816 on the screen right now. What made you interested in returning to the house to look at the couch?
By April 16th, we had gotten the phone download back from Maxwell Anderson's phone, and on the phone, there were some photos that had the sofa and also that blue, it's actually a pillow.
I didn't hear that, your response.
The blue pillow,
Thank you.
Who was in those photos?
Sade Robinson.
Did you want to check the couch to see if there were any stains or any other evidence?
Yes,
And did you in fact locate what you believed to be some stains?
yes, there
Was this-
were some areas of the red that were darker red.
Was this done with crime lab personnel present again?
It was,
Were those stains presumptively tested for the presence of human blood?
they were
What was the results of those presumptive tests?
negative.
Did you opt to do further DNA testing on those stains?
We did not.
And why not?
We felt it would be redundant. We knew that she was on that sofa based on the photos, so obviously her DNA would be there. It wouldn't really tell us anything different.
You see me sitting in this chair right now. You don't have to DNA test the chair to know I was sitting here, right?
Correct.
Okay, nothing else.
Defense? Thank you, Detective. State your next witness.
Andrew Sullivan.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You can please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
Andrew Sullivan, AndrewSullivan.
How are you employed?
As a detective with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office,
How long have you been with the sheriff's office?
9.5 years.
Were you working in that capacity on April 4th, 2024?
Yes,
On that date, did you assist with a search warrant execution at the address of 3161 South 39th Street in the city of Milwaukee?
yes.
What was your role that day?
Searching for evidence.
Did you also have contact with the lower tenant of that residence?
Yes,
And did you actually go inside the lower of that residence?
yes.
Are you aware of the lower tenant's name?
Pete Warbington,
And did Pete Warbington give law enforcement permission to search his residence?
he did.
And what did you do?
We had him sign a consent to search form, and then we searched the residence.
So that-
The
sorry.
lower unit, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
After he signed the consent to search form, we searched the residence.
So he gave you permission.
Written permission, yes.
Did you find anything of note?
No,
Nothing of evidentiary value?
no,
Was Mr. Worthington cooperative?
yes.
Nothing further.
Cross.
Nothing on this topic, that's fine.
Thank you. State your next witness.
Detective Vincent Lopez.